Hey guys, this is Jesse here at Jesse Lee Strength and Fitness. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you taking your time to watch my content. This is going to be a recap of my Zone 2 run for week 10. Now, this is 10 weeks post my final 10K run, which was the wrap of my running season. And since then, I've switched primarily to strength training, and I'm doing one Zone 2 run per week. And this was probably the most successful in many ways. And I'll go ahead and tell you kind of the reasons why. But also, just as a precursor, I'm working generally, I've been kind of a general mobility guy and a general activation kind of person prior to these runs. Today, I took a little bit more of a specific approach because of kind of the work of Aaron Horschig and SquatUniversity. I was doing a little bit of just some testing on myself with the Faber test and just figuring out some areas. Also, just doing some single leg strength holds, some lateral strength holds, and just figuring out kind of where in my pelvis, because I generally have, we all have, well, some of us who have legs who have two different legs, and we also have two different kind of pelvises. So typically one side will show pain, or one side or the other. You got a tight ankle here, or a tight hip there. So I'm kind of moving kind of away in some ways from a general mobility to a more specific mobility and stability warm up for my runs. And kind of what I did today was I typically have a restricted right hip and right ankle. And so what I did on those was doing some tibial rotations, activations at the right foot and ankle, and then working on some banded mobilization of the right hip with a little bit of stability with some hip aeroplane work on that. And then doing kind of a supportive neuromuscular like squat with band just to kind of re-engage that, and doing some glute bridge holds. And then also working on a little bit more stability on the left, because my left hip is not as strong laterally or in a single leg bridge. So basically holding those single leg bridge, getting a little bit more glute activation, and doing minimal hip mobility on the left side. I went ahead and did a hip aeroplane on the left side just as a kind of just check in. And that largely seemed to be a helpful warm up. I still had a little bit of left kind of hip flexor pain that came into the run and kind of lingered. So there's definitely some issues there that, I mean, this is not new. This is really, really old. These are kind of old pains, but I'm just trying to be a little bit more specific with the warm up and trying to narrow in on those areas that are causing the issues, which I think is going to in turn impact the way I squat and deadlift. Because obviously those big movements with heavy loads are a great assessment. They're going to tell you pretty quickly where things are neuromuscularly incorrect or mobility wise. So trying to dig into a little bit of that. So shout out to Aaron Horschig at SquatUniversity. I really appreciate the work that he does there. So I would definitely check him out, specifically if you have pain or imbalances. He's really a specialty at that. So today, just getting into this workout, it was great. I did myself, my girlfriend, and my dog. We went on this Zone 2 run. We did a walk of 0.19 miles. We covered 4.09 miles in the run, and we cooled down for 0.19, which was a total of about 4.47 miles and a total time of 58:30, so just about an hour. The time running was spent 50:44, but check this out. Time in Zone 2, 48:27. That is by far the best work I've done in this kind of heart rate training that I'm doing. Very excited. 95% of my run was in Zone 2. And so you can see 12:23 pace, and that was fine. We were out on the river trail, and it was so fun and so nice and enjoyable. We could carry on conversation. We could be quiet if we needed to. We could look around and kind of see things, and just keeping at a really nice minimal pace. So this was the most successful Zone 2 run. I think I did have a little bit of hip flexor stuff in the right side, and I could maybe slightly feel a left hamstring a little bit. And that, I think, is kind of exemplified by the strength training that I'm doing, because it's highlighting some of the imbalances that I had known I had, but I think you highlight them more when you lift heavy. they start to show their faces, right? So whether it's stability, whether it's mobility, those are the two kind of important factors to consider whenever you're doing those types of things. So checking in with that, trying to fine tune my warm up to help prepare my body in a way that seems suitable, that is largely around mobilizing what needs to be mobilized and stabilizing and activating what needs to be activated. So with that being said, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Hope you enjoy the content.